So today is our first demo session on React.js and React Native. So today is the first demo session, guys. So in today's session, we are going to understand everything about our course, like what is our course, what we are going to learn in this course, what will be the duration, what is our course content, all those things we are going to discuss. So today is the first demo session. So today's session is all about introduction to the course. In this introduction to the course, we are going to understand what is React.js, what is React Native. So we have here two things. One is React.js, one more is React Native. So exactly what is React.js, what is React Native, what is the difference between React.js and React Native. Once we learn React.js and React Native, what we can do, all those things we will discuss. Then we will discuss about our course information. In this course information, we will discuss about our course content. We will discuss about our course details, what will be the duration, right? What will be the timing, how many sessions we are going to conduct per week, all those things we are going to discuss. So before I start with our journey, there are certain prerequisite that you should know before you attend this batch. So let me cover the first prerequisite section, so that in case if you think that you don't have that prerequisite, then you can drop this session. Because if you don't know those things, it becomes very difficult for you to learn React.js and React Native. And if you take the risk of learning, there are a lot of chances that you will waste your money or you might waste your time also, because initially you might understand, but as we enter into advanced concepts, things will become very complex. So I just don't want that you guys should waste your time. So to attend this React.js and React Native, you have certain prerequisite. Now what is that prerequisite? You should be aware of you should be aware of HTML. You should know CSS, and you should know fundamentals of JavaScript. You should be aware of fundamentals of JavaScript. Now, what do you mean by fundamentals of JavaScript? You should know variables concept in JavaScript. You should be aware of variables concept in JavaScript. You should be aware of data types. You should know what are functions, how we work with functions, what is function definition, what is function call, what are parameters, arguments, what is return type. So everything about functions you should know. You should know about operators. So what are arithmetic operators, what are logical operators, what are relational operators. You should know about these operators. You should be aware of control flow statements like if, else if, switch. You should know about loops. You should be aware of loops like for loop, while loop. So if you know for loop, while loop, it's more than enough. And basics of DOM. Even if you don't have basics of DOM, it's okay. I will provide you some recorded videos which you can watch and learn the DOM concept. So basically, you should be aware of DOM concept, but this DOM concept I am making optional now. If you know, very good. In case if you don't know, I will provide you some recorded videos which you can watch and you can learn the DOM concept. So DOM concept is completely optional, but at least you should know variables, data types, functions, operators, control flow statements, and loops. These are the fundamental concepts of JavaScript which you should be aware of. Apart from this, whatever concepts we have in JavaScript, that comes across our React or React Native, I will teach that part. But these are the prerequisite which I won't teach and which you should be aware before we start our journey in React and React Native, guys. So if you know this one, then happily you can start learning React JS or React Native. Whether you learn React or in React Native with me or with anyone, you should be aware of all this. Yeah. Anyone have any doubts, guys, in this prerequisite? Is it clear for everyone what you should know before you start your journey with React and React Native? Yeah. Now let's understand what is this React JS and React Native. So before I explain what is React and React Native, if you guys have any kind of information, then you guys can share. So what is React JS or React Native? Anyone have any kind of idea, guys? What is React JS or React Native, or what is the
Yes,
difference
good
between?
morning.
Yeah, pardon.
React.js is a JavaScript library, and React Native is a framework of React.js. And from mobile application, we use the React Native, and
Nice,
web application, we use the React.js.
nice. So I got the exact answer. So what is React JS means? React JS is a library. It is a library of JavaScript. It's a library of JavaScript. What is React Native means? React Native is a framework. It is a framework. Now, what is this framework? What is this library? We will discuss. But what is React JS? React JS is a library. React Native is nothing but framework. In short, in very general way, if I want to differentiate what is library and framework means, in general, we can consider the example of apartment. You might have seen apartments, right? So the entire apartment we can call as a framework. In every apartment, there will be lot of flats. You will find lot of flats in one apartment. So every flat is like one library. So in the same way, framework is nothing but it is a collection of libraries. In simple words, if you want to know what is framework, framework is a collection of libraries. Now, what is library? Library is nothing but it is a collection of or a single file which contains some predefined code. It is a single or collection of JavaScript files. So in our case, it is a JavaScript file, but it can be collection of any files. It can be collection of Java files, then we call it as a Java library. If it is a collection of Python files, then we call it as a Python library. If it is a collection of JavaScript files, then we call it as a JavaScript library. So library is nothing but it is a single or collection of JavaScript files which contains predefined code in the form of object, functions, and classes. So what is library? Library is nothing but it can be a single or it can be collection of JavaScript files which contains some predefined code. Predefined code means in the form of it can be predefined objects, it can be predefined functions, it can be predefined JavaScript classes. And what is framework? Framework is nothing but it is a collection of libraries. It is a collection of libraries. So React.js is library, React Native is a framework. Now what we can do with React.js? With React.js, we can create front-end application of a web application. What we can do with React.js, using React, we can create user interface, user interface for web application. What we can do with React.js means, using React.js, we can create user interface. It is very, very, very important to understand, guys. React.js is all about creating user interface. We can create user interface for what? For web application. For web application. In the same way, what is React Native? What we can do with React Native? Using React Native, we can create a front-end application for a mobile apps. So using React Native, we can create a front-end application or front-end app for mobile applications. For mobile application. Now there is a difference between creating user interface and creating front-end application. Now for web application also we will have a front-end application. But can we create entire front-end application with React.js? For that, answer is no. You can only create user interface for your front-end application of a web app with React. But with React Native, you can create entire front-end application. So many people don't know this difference. So many people think that React.js is all about creating front-end application of a web app. So we cannot create a front-end application of a web app using React.js. What we can do using React.js, we can create only user interface of a front-end application of a web app. Now, what is the difference between that? I will explain. But first, let's try to understand exactly what is React and what is React Native. So in interviews, people will ask, what is React? Then your answer should be, it is a library of a JavaScript. What is React Native? React Native is a framework. It is a framework. What is library? Library is nothing but it can be a single or it can be a collection of JavaScript files which contains predefined code in the form of object, functions or classes. So library is nothing but it's just a file which contains some predefined code. Now that code can be object, that it can be functions, it can be classes. Some library contains only functions. Some library contains only classes. Some library contains combination of functions and classes. Like different libraries based on their requirement they have created. But generally, libraries are nothing but it contains some predefined code. Means already written code. We have to just use that code for our requirement. What is framework? It is a collection of libraries. It is a collection of libraries. Now, what we can do with this React.js? With this React.js, we can create, with this React, we can create only user interface for a web application. What do you mean by creating user interface? Basically, we know that if you take any web application, it is divided into three sub applications. Your web application is divided into three sub applications. The first sub application is front end, second sub application is back end, third sub application is database. So the first sub application is front end application, second sub application is back end application, third sub application is database. Now in this front end application, we can do so many things. We can implement so many things. In that, creating UI is one part. In your front end application, creating user interface is one of the part. And this creating user interface we can implement using React. Apart from creating user interface, we can do so many things like we can style or design our UI, we can implement routing, we can implement data validations, we can implement data management, which we call as a state management data, or you can call it as a state management. You can implement unit testing, you can implement API integrations. So like this, so many things we can do in front end application development. But with React, we can only create user interface. With React, you can only create user interface. We can only create user interface. With React, can you implement these remaining things? Answer is no. With React, can we implement these remaining things? For that, answer is no. With React, you cannot style or design UI. With React JS, you cannot implement routing. With React JS, we cannot do data validations. With React JS, we cannot do state management at application level. We cannot implement unit testing when we cannot do API integration. We can only create user interface. And for front end application, for web application. In the same way, React Native, React Native is a framework. Now, what we can do with this React Native? With this React Native, you can create a front end application for your mobile applications. We can create entire front end application for mobile applications. Now, in mobile application also, you need all this. You need style design, you need creating UI, you need routing, you need validations, you need management, you need API integrations. All these things we can do with React Native, but for mobile applications. So if you take mobile applications, now your mobile applications are also divided into three sub applications. If you take mobile applications, even mobile applications are divided into three sub applications. What are those three sub applications? Same: front end, back end, and database. Now, with React Native, you can create this front end app part. With React Native, we can create this front end part. In front end, what we do? We create UI, we style or design UI, we do state management, we do data validations, we can implement API integrations, we can do routing, nothing but in mobile part we call it as a navigations. We can implement navigations, we can navigate from one screen to other screen. Like this, we can implement all these things in the front end, and these entire things we can implement with React Native. All these things we can implement with React Native. But with React, we can only create UI of a web app. Now, when it comes to backend part, now backend is same. You can use same backend for web and mobile applications. For mobile applications and for web, you can use same backend. You can use same database also. So to develop backend and database, you need to learn other technologies like you need to learn Node.js or Express.js, or you have to learn Spring Boot, or you have to learn Django, or you have to learn fast APIs. So we have different set of technologies to develop backend applications. We have different databases in the market. Like we have PostgreSQL, we have MongoDB, we have Oracle, we have MySQL. We have SQL Server, we have Vector DB, different databases we have now. We have Redis. Now, in our course, are we going to learn entire full stack? No, we are going to learn only front end part. That's why our title, course title is React JS and React Native. So once you learn this React JS and React Native, then you can develop front end application for your web app. You can develop front end application for your mobile app. So generally, you will be called a front end engineer. After this course, you can call yourself as a front end engineer or a developer for web applications, and mobile applications. So after this course, you can call yourself as a front-end engineer or a developer for web applications and mobile applications, not or and mobile applications. Is it clear, guys, up to here? Anyone have any doubts, any confusions up to here? Like if you have any doubt, any confusion, or if you did not understand any part, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the queries, guys.
Uh, for styling, like you are saying, for styling, we cannot do it by using React. Right?
Yes.
For styling, we have to use another library.
For styling, we have to depend on CSS, or you can use Tailwind CSS, or you can use Bootstrap. Means you have to depend on different technology. With React, we cannot implement.
Okay. For all it routing, data validation,
We cannot do all these
everything.
things. We cannot do with React. For all this,
Okay.
we have to depend on different libraries. We call it as a external libraries. Okay. So generally, in real time, what happens? Suppose if you want to create a front end application, then what we do? We use React for creating user interface. So React is all about creating user interface. Apart from that, you cannot do anything. We use another library called React DOM. This is for managing your DOM, managing the DOM, or for creating dynamic UI. Again, this is a part of your React JS only. Now we have something called styling. Suppose if you want to add style or designs for your UI, for that, we can go with CSS, or people will use framework like Tailwind CSS, or people might use Bootstrap or Material Design or Chakra UI. There are so many in the market. But right now, if you see, Tailwind CSS is very popular. So if you know React, it means you should be aware of Tailwind CSS. You should know how to work with Tailwind CSS. In the same way, suppose if you want to implement state management, or we call it as a data management. State management or data management is nothing but when you create any application, sometimes same information you will show on different parts of your application. And if you are updating any information at one part, it should get reflected at all the parts wherever it is used. That process we call as state management or data management. So to implement this state management or data management at application level, we go for libraries like Redux or JuiceDal. In the same way, if you want to implement routing is nothing but switching from one part of your application to another part of your application. So you don't want to show all the parts of your application at a time to the user. You want to show only minimum part. Now you will show some links, you will show some buttons. Whenever user will click on those links or buttons, you will navigate user to other part. So that process we call as a routing. So if you want to implement routing in your application, then we use a library called React Router. Now all these are external libraries like Tailwind CSS, Redux, React Router. All these are not developed by React creators. It is not developed by Meta company or Facebook company. All these are developed by different companies. In the same way, if you want to implement API integration, then you can take the help of browser native API, that is Fetch, or you can take the help of Axios, or now trending is TanStack query. In the same way, if you want to implement unit testing in your application, then you have to depend on external library like Jest or React testing library. We call it as a RTL. So like this, we have to take the help of different libraries with React to create one front-end application. We call all this as a React stack, which are related to React. So this is how people are developing the front-end application in the market with the help of React by taking the help of all these external libraries. That's why React comes under library category. It doesn't comes under framework category. Framework means it will help you to develop all these things, whatever required for an application. Everything will be helped by framework. Everything is inbuilt in framework. Library is like it will focus only on one part of your application. Now it can be anything. It can be creating UI, it can be styling UI, it can be managing data, it can be managing validation. You can implement data validation also. Now for data validation, we use something called React Hook Form library with Zod. So like this, you have to depend on different libraries to create a front end application. So what is the actual purpose of React? React is all about creating UI. Apart from that, you cannot do anything. Even if you see their official site, in their official site also clearly they have mentioned what is React. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. So they never mentioned the term application. They clearly mentioned React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It's an official site. But so many people I have seen, they will say that it is a framework, it is used for developing application. Means they will create a wrong context in initial classes only. And people will have that mindset with React you can do everything. No, with React you cannot do everything. With React you can only create UI. If you want to implement other features of your application, then you have to depend on third party external libraries. But this is not the case with React Native. In React Native, minimum things that are required for creating application, everything is provided by React Native. That's why React Native comes under the category of framework. So with React Native, you can almost implement everything. But still, when we are developing the mobile applications, we will take the help of some external libraries for implementing other features. For example, if you want to implement animations, then React Native doesn't provide much. So we have to take the help of some third party libraries. In the same way, for styling also, we can go with React Native uh, inbuilt things. But still, if you want more professional designs, then we go for some other frameworks. So not frameworks, we go for other libraries. But minimum things, if you want to create, that is available with the React Native. So in this batch, what we are going to do, we are going to learn the things in a module wise. So what I have done, I have divided our entire curriculum in 4 modules. On very high level, on very high level, course is divided into 4 modules, not four, it's the 5 modules. Now, what are those 5 modules? The first module, we are going to learn advanced JavaScript required for React. required for React.js and React Native. Not all the concepts of advanced JavaScript, only required concepts. How much it is required for us in React.js and React Native, only those concepts. Second module will be TypeScript. We are going to learn TypeScript. Third module will be React.js. Fourth module will be React Native. Fifth module will be our projects. So we are going to develop two projects, and one project will be related to web front end part of web app. So we don't develop entire web application, we develop only front end application of a web application. Plus we are going to develop a mobile app, and that too only front end part I will explain. Back end code I will give that entire configuration. I will explain you the configuration of backend. So we will not write even one line in the backend. Our entire focus will be on the front end. So front end part completely we will write from zero level, but backend we will not touch even one line. So front end part and here mobile part. But as a complementary for your batch, as a complementary, I will give you access to REST API development with Node.js and Express.js. This is completely complementary from my end. So if you join this course as a complimentary, I will provide you REST API development with Node.js and Express. So when I am going to provide you backend code for this web app, backend code for this mobile app, then by seeing that code, you will be able to understand what I have written. When you will be able to understand if you go through this REST API development with Node and Express. Now it will be in the recorded form, guys, this part. Whatever complimentary I am providing, it will be in the recorded form. Means already videos are recorded, it won't be the live session. Next, I will provide you one complimentary project, that is chat application with Mern stack, which is developed on Mern stack. Mern stack means again front end will be React.js, back end will be Node Express, and database will be MongoDB. So these are the two complementaries I will provide you. And this complementaries I will release once we are done with React.js. I will release this complementary to you once we are done with React.js. So before we enter into React Native, I will provide you this complementaries so that parallelly, whenever you get the time, you can start learning all this.
One question, sir. Hello?
Yeah, tell me.
So for backend, to connect to Spring Boot, let's say microservices or any APIs, do we need to know the Node.js first, or we can directly integrate with React and libraries?
You can connect with any backend technology. You need not to know about Node Express. Like if you understand Node Express, then you can connect with any backend technology. In case if you know
JS, or we can directly without Node.js, we can connect to backend, let's say Java services.
You can connect. See, Node and backend both are different, right? For example, Node and Java both are different. Okay. So you can connect React with Java, or you can connect React with Node.
Understood.
So both Node.js or Java, both comes under backend only. So you can connect any front end with any backend technology. Like if you understand how to connect React with Node, then you can connect easily React with Spring Boot. You can connect React with Django. You can connect React with Laravel. You can connect with any backend services. Okay. So that is the main purpose of this REST API development. So basically here we are going to learn how to create REST API development with Node and Express. Some people might be from Java background, so you already know how to create REST APIs with Spring Boot or with Spring or with servlets. But here we are going to learn how to create REST API development with Node and Express. Now, why Node and Express? Because internally Node.js and Express.js uses JavaScript language. Spring Boot uses Java language. Django uses Python language. In the same way, Node and Express uses JavaScript language. And already we know JavaScript as we are learning React. So it becomes easy for us to learn Node.js and Express.js. And this chat application, guys, this chat application consists of almost 37 videos, and each video is almost 1 hour. So it is like a major project, this chat application, which I have taken for one of the match. It took almost 3 months for me to explain this project end to end. From start to end, everything I have developed. So almost 37 videos you are going to get. For REST API development, there are, I think, 10 videos. So within this 10 videos, we'll be able to learn how to create REST APIs with Node and Express. So creating REST APIs with Node and Express is much more easier than any other technology in the backend. So if you compare creating REST APIs with Node.js and Spring Boot, then Node.js and Express.js is very easy compared to Spring Boot. Even Spring Boot is easy, but compared to Spring Boot, Node Express is much more easier. But for that, you should have JavaScript knowledge. Like you should know the fundamentals, whatever I have mentioned here. These fundamentals you should be aware of. You have to be very strong with the fundamentals, plus whatever I will teach in advanced JavaScript. Those things you should be aware of. So whatever I will teach in advanced JavaScript, that is for React Native, and same will be applied for Node and Express also. So you should be aware of that. Now this is the high level course content, how it will be. Detailed course content you will find here. So here if you see our React.js, React Native, TypeScript, professional program. So here I have divided this in detailed way in phases. And here I have added module. So exactly in advanced JavaScript, what you are going to learn. Exactly in your TypeScript, what you are going to learn. Exactly in your React.js, what you are going to learn. In the same way, in React Native, what you are going to learn. Everything I have added here. So that you can just go through this syllabus. You will also have the idea what exactly you are going to learn. Okay, this URL I will provide you. So this PDF you can directly download. So in the first session itself, you should be clear with your syllabus. So it becomes easy for you to decide whether this course is good for you or not. So this is the high level course, guys. So what we have understood till now. So we started our discussion with what are prerequisite for our batch. Now this I have explained in initially only, so that in case if you are not aware, then you can skip the sessions so that you will save your time. So you should know this prerequisite. You should know basics of HTML, CSS, and you should be aware of fundamentals of JavaScript. In fundamentals, you should know all this. Like same concepts you will find in different programming language also. Like if you know in Java all these concepts, then it becomes very easy for you to learn all these concepts in JavaScript also. Just little bit syntax will change. Apart from that, every concept will be same. Then we started our discussion with what is React, what is React Native. Then we discussed what is library. We discussed what is framework in very simple way. Then we discussed what is the purpose of React, what is the purpose of React Native. So if you learn React and React Native, what you can do. This part I have explained. Now once you know React.js and React Native, then you can apply for this particular roles in the market. So you can call yourself as a front-end engineer or a developer for web application and mobile application. Once you know React JS and React Native. And the best part of React Native is you can develop mobile application for both the platforms, guys. You can develop mobile application for both the platforms. Both the platforms means you can develop mobile application for Android also, and you can develop mobile applications for even iOS also. Nothing but for iPhones also you can develop apps. For Android application phones also you can develop apps. That is the power of React Native. Alternate to React Native, you might have heard about Flutter in the market. It is just a alternate to React Native. So using Flutter also we can develop Android applications, we can develop iOS application. But in Flutter, we use a language called Dart. So if you want to learn Flutter, first you have to learn Dart language. Then you can develop the application with your Flutter for mobile apps and iOS apps. In the same way, the alternate for React is your Angular, Vue.js, which are very popular in the market. We have hundreds of alternates, but the most popular alternates for React.js is Angular. You might have heard about Angular. You might have heard about Vue.js. These are the alternates of React. But still, React is more demanded library in the world for creating front-end applications. So almost 60 to 70% of the people in the world are using React.js for creating applications, whether it is small scale, medium scale, or large scale. That much popular React.js is right now. And whatever AI tools are getting created, most of the AI tools will generate the code on React only. So if you ask, I want a e-commerce application, and if you don't mention any tech stack, by default, most of the applications, most of the AI tools will create applications in React only. Now, why React? Because React is like a open source, and there are lot of GitHub repositories which are built on React. Lot of GitHub repositories which are open source, which are free to use, and all your LLMs got trained on such GitHub repositories because they are free. That is the reason most of the LLMs or AI tools are generating code in React. That's why in AI era, now React became very popular in the market. So we have very good future, we have very good present with React. Present is also very good, and even future is very good. You might have heard recently there is a new role got introduced, forward deployed engineer. Now Microsoft announced this role. So they are hiring forward deployed engineer. Forward deployed engineer. Now who are forward deployed engineer? The people who know full stack development plus who know AI engineering. Who knows AI engineering? Plus who have the skill of interacting with the customers. Customer interacting skills. Understanding the customer's requirement. So basically, the people who are called forward deployed engineers means the people who can first interact with the customers, understand their requirement, understand their business, propose this solution for their business, implement application, integrate AI with that application, and deploy that application. Means everything he should be able to handle. He should be able to understand, connect with customers, understand their requirement, understand their business. He should be able to come with a plan how he can create an AI applications for this business to enhance it. He should be able to develop it, and he should be able to deploy also. So if you can do all these things, then you are called forward deployed engineer. So slowly this role is trending, but you see in next 6 months or 1 year, you will see that it will be on the top. This role will be on the top. So to learn all this, obviously it requires so much, but in this entire journey, you need application development, and in that application development, you need front end part, and most of the front end part will be on React. Most of the people are preferring React JS for front end application. So it doesn't mean that you cannot use Angular or Vue. You can use, but the most demanded stack right now for this role to develop a front end part of an AI application is React. If you want, you can do research on it. You will get understand, like you will understand how React is important. Okay. So I hope you guys are able to download this PDF. So I have given one link. If you click on that link, you will land on this page. Now here you have download button, guys. So you can download this and you can have complete look on this syllabus, what you are going to learn exactly. You will get that idea.